Asmongold is
Video
playing
game
a Witcher 3.
dialogue 9. Oh, the red. I remember this guy.
Sit down. You
Oh,
beat
let's
them.
go.
I never laid a finger on Tamara. Not once.
And on Anna.
That's another story.
I played this.
She always knew how to spark my ire.
Your
You
wife.
knew they ran
How'd she
away.
make you angry? Too much salt in the soup? Socks never darned?
20 years we've known each other. She's seen me drunk and sober. She was there to greet me when I returned the victor. She was there to patch me up in defeat. Like no other, she knew where to press, where to pinch, so it would hurt.
You beat her? For that? For criticizing you?
Oh, Witcher, you haven't a clue, have you? Well, perhaps
The
I
music
shall
and the
tell you
background,
about it
dude.
one day. One day, but not today.
You knew they had run away from the start.
Yes, I knew.
Why didn't you tell me? Wasted my time.
Say I had. Say I'd said I had troubles. Couldn't control my wife, my daughter. What kind of flaccid prick would you take me for?
Gotta admit, I do think you're a prick. Not because you couldn't control them, but because you drove them away.
What?
Don't play the idiot. You gave them no choice.
Anna and I. It wasn't as it seemed.
Damn,
It's crazy
the
how
music
they
and
can
the
tackle
dialogue.
topics
Jesus,
like this
no wonder this
without
game
it
was
being
good.
patronizing. I love showing clips like this because it just shows that it's not social issues. It's
Metaphor
not
is
woke
like that
stuff,
too, dude.
It's not DEI. It's bad writing.
Yep.
That's it. Did you play The Witcher 3? I played like the first 20% or 30% of the game. I will eventually go back and play it entirely. But I have not played the entire game. But this was at the beginning of the game, so I did play this part.
Seems.
All right, I'm all ears. Tell me what happened. The truth this time.
I'd been
I think Henry Cavill did a really good job of playing this guy.
soaking myself.
He basically played this guy
3 days
one-to-one,
straight.
kinda.
Anna came to me, said they were leaving. I begged them to stay. She refused to hear it. I tried to stop her. She wriggled like an eel. We struggled. She fell. Last blasted thing I remember. Woke up in the morn, breeches heavy with my own piss. A large bump on my head. Sadly, they were gone. Know what that's like, Witcher? No. How the fuck could you? I was left with nothing. Nothing! Only the bottle.
See, this is one of the components that I think a lot of writers are unwilling to do now, is they're unwilling to show characters that are effectively antagonists or the villain in a way that's sympathetic in any way. And so,
Yeah.
like, you can watch this and you can sympathize with
I am evil because I do bad things. I like to be doing bad things because I am evil. That's most of the villains. Most of them are. You know, that's why I loved Luis when I played a Metaphor, because he was not exactly evil. He is an antagonist, like a what do you an anti-hero that just went to the other side of the extreme. You know, it's just a lawful evil, straight up. Like kind of like like the army, pretty much.
the Baron, but you know he's still in the wrong and he's still a bad guy.
Yeah.
And it makes it real and relatable.
It
It makes
makes
them
you
human,
want
yeah.
to think. It makes you want to make a choice to help him or not. You know, even though the game kind of forces you to help him regardless, but still, you get the idea, right? It makes you question
Exactly.
yourself.
And that's the one thing that I think a lot of characters don't have anymore. Because he's human. Yeah, exactly.
You should play Metaphor, dude. He will recognize exactly what I'm talking about.
What happened next?
Next. He told
And
me.
the reason why it's really good, by the way, is because people that probably have had to deal with stuff like this, their
Can relate to
experience
it.
is probably closer to this than the one-dimensional depiction of it that's shown in like modern millennial writing. So
Yeah.
it's like it's easier for them to relate to it.
It got
Yep,
worse.
absolutely.
I awoke at sunset, not knowing how many days had passed. Thought it was all a ploughing, drunken night.
It's not about relate to it. You can understand. The story plays out in a way that you can understand it. For a good example for that is just there is a character in a metaphor. He had a backstory that you can understand completely and where he is coming from. And then he didn't fall into the evil and then tried to seclude himself. You know, like it's understandable. You can understand them and what they and feel where they are coming from. You
Man.
know,
And then I went to the bed.
like it's here's the thing, media like this kind of games, movies or art. It is the modern version of freaking novels and plays that were written in like 100, 300 years ago. You are actually having the torch of freaking Shakespeare, Milton, and other poets. You are making a movies in the place of them because that is the most primary entertainment right now. So you have to hold your standards that high in order to make art itself. You know, that's why Oppenheimer was pretty busted when it came out. It was freaking popped off because they made it an art, dude. They didn't just make a movie. They made it a freaking what do you call it? Art, pretty much, right? That's what people want to see.
Chamber.
Yes, it takes harder. Yes, it takes so much time, but it will be timeless when it's done and when it's done proper, right? There is a reason why we still, till this date, we read poets from like poets and plays from Shakespeare and other stuff. Like what's that guy? I think Shakespeare wrote what's that detective's name? Sherlock Holmes. Like Sherlock Holmes is not even real, but we still read him this day. Why? What do you think that is? Because he's a well-written character.
But Anna was not there. Instead,
You know,
there was blood everywhere.
and they are not afraid. Here's the thing: they are not afraid because of the public. Because he wrote Sherlock Holmes, and then in opposition, he in the for his nemesis, he took a real person that existed in real life. He, even though he was a bad guy, he was a serial killer, and then he put it in the story in order to make the story good. That's why Sherlock Holmes was timeless. What's that guy? The guy's name? Jack the Ripper. You know, there is a reason why people those what do you call it? Plays are timeless, dude. Because it transcends reality with fantasy as
One
well. And then gives you a story and a moral that is right. Pretty much.
She'd miscarried. My breath short.
Oh
my
yeah,
throat
that's
locked.
yeah.
I neared the bed and saw it. It lay there, a tiny thing, defenseless, on bloodied sheets, dead. And it was my doing.
Maybe you're doing, maybe not. But that amulet she wore could be important. Or maybe the fact that she lost it. What did you do with the child?
What was I to do? Took it out and buried it.
Just like that?
Damn you! I gave no thought to a funeral. It was a horror. I wanted it to end. That child had been my dream. I told Anna, the little one, our little one, to make things right. Yet she died before she could be born. understand, Witcher? My child was dead.
I don't think Cyberpunk was this deep at all. This deep at all. There is one scenario that was this deep. When you go into the rooftop with Johnny Silverhand and then shoot yourself. That is the only part that was this deep.
Keep it together, man.
You have to get the
I sympathize.
bad
do.
ending.
Thank you. And know that I hope you find your Ciri.
Man.
There it is.
Man.
It's so transcend both fantasy and reality.
Yep. And it's just like it's the respect that they give to the viewer, right? Like they don't have to tell you, by the way, this guy's bad. Hey, did you know he's bad? It's obvious that he's bad. He doesn't have to be one-dimensional. Whatever happened to video games? I think that what happened to video games is what happened to everything.
Yep.
I genuinely believe this. People are dumber now. We are at a low point in human social awareness. And I think that it manifests in all kinds. Like I would say I realized it today, but like today was just a reminder. So I make a joke about like, the Dragon Age subreddit bans me and anybody from my subreddit from posting. And so then I say, apparently the moderators over there believe my subreddit has an inferior culture, which justifies banning all of this, disgusting this level of racism that you can get away with on Reddit nowadays. And a lot of these comments that I'm reading are people that are genuinely mad. They're like, that's not racist. What are you talking about? And it doesn't make me mad. Like people say this stuff. It's just sad. It really is genuinely sad. They're not actually mad. No, I think some of them actually are. And it's really scary to see this, that like even basic forms of communication.
I think he just made a bait post and then saying people are dumb. He deliberately made. Look at this. He deliberately said, "My subreddit has an inferior culture." You see this? He deliberately rage bait people because of the previous debacle he just literally got banned for. And then people, when you are back, what do you call it? When the people are giving you a backlash and then he says they are dumb. Like, look at the hubris here. I think you should just talk about the facts, actual facts that can be proven inside the game instead of just random political dumb shit. Like this is just a complete nothing burger.
Are just totally, it just totally goes over people's heads. And it's very, very.
I don't think here's the thing, from what I'm looking at, the ban, the 14-day ban, he said I will try to rethink my life and then I will be a better person than anything, right? He didn't change an inch. This guy is basically the same asshole as before. And he did not learn anything from his past whatsoever. He is basically the same. But he kind of toned down how he's speaking. That's pretty much it. You know? What is with this hate brigade? Like, I'm gonna play this game, and if it's bad, I will just say it is bad. You don't have to be a freaking hate brigade and then say they don't deserve to even have their job or something like that. And, you know? I do say something like that in my reviews as well, but I don't really mean it, you know? Like, this is just, I don't know, man. This is just unnecessary drama out of nothing. He's just building a sandcastle.
Worrisome. People don't understand jokes now. Well, I
What?
think it's more than that. It's that people don't understand any level of thinking that's not one-dimensional. Like anything that you have to think about after you read it is something that people automatically are like done. Yeah, context clues. Yeah, exactly. more
How
emotional,
many
less
people he
logical. Yeah,
knows?
and it's really
I mean,
worrisome.
that's the thing. That's it. I don't think that's people's fault. I think that's a freaking media's fault. Media is deliberately making the news that's as clickbaity and rage video as possible with this dumb shit, right? And how can you blame the viewers and the freaking consumers for their ignorance? I think you should blame the game, not the players, pretty much. That's what I know, my opinion on this. Like the media outlets should basically do this kind of stuff in order to rile up the people, right? I think the good thing you can do is probably give attention to this kind of media outlets and then say they are wrong and stuff like that, and then tell people to be aware of it. Instead of just making fun of them, you should help them in any way possible so they can get rid of their ignorance, you know?
I think this has happened with TV shows. I think that it's
Yeah,
happened a lot with movies. I think
yeah,
movies are actually the most pronounced example. Like video
yeah,
games, like, hey, we had The Witcher 3 back then. You've got Disco Elysium. You've got Metaphor ReFantazio. Like, we have a lot of really great video games still,
yeah.
even though a lot of the mainstream triple
I mean, metaphor fantasy, if you say it on a surface level, it is a woke game about racism, straight up. But they made it in a good way. It's nothing new. Like people know what racism is, and everybody knows it's bad. Like, come on. But Refantasy did a good job of making a good story around it. It's a concept that was put in the fantasy that had more depth, you know? It is a real world issue, right? But they did it in a good way, so it doesn't really bother the players that much. Instead of just out in the face, right? But these modern AAA games, why what they do is it's just the least amount of effort, most amount of profit. So in order to do it most cost effective, they don't go in depth at all, and then they just put it surface level and then see we did it, you know. That's what they're doing. Like it doesn't like it doesn't seem like they don't have the capacity to do it or anything like that. They just don't want to do that. For a good example for this is probably if you go see Assassin's Creed Origins, the story on that one is quite decent as well. When you play that game, freaking Ubisoft is capable of a good story, but they just don't do it. That's the difference, you know?
A games are kind of slop nowadays. But I
Yeah,
think that movies, you've seen probably the biggest decline.
yeah, that's true.